A lot of YouTubers are talking about origins, and since I'm a comic book fan, mine's a secret origin, just like the DC comic. And welcome back to the heart of the stories we tell, a series where I spend way too much time thinking about what makes a story. And today's episode is me, and it's an interesting day to do it. September 25th, 1980, I was born, so today is my 36th birthday. If you're looking for something to get me, I'm always up for $1 million, a new hot tub, or just subscribe and like this. Because, to be honest, what I'd really like for my birthday is to hit 100 subscribers. Probably won't happen, but let's give it a try. Hit that sub button for me. So enough of that. Let's get on to what gave me the ideas and thoughts that created this crazy channel. My older sister and I were both raised by a single mother, although not alone. My grandparents on her side and her sister, my aunt, and her husband, my uncle, helped a great deal. My mother always gave us a wide latitude when it came to what to watch on TV, and as such, I watched things that probably weren't exactly the best age-appropriate things for me growing up, and appreciated a sense of storytelling that was a little beyond my age for the most part. Although I still watched cartoons, of course, and if you're familiar with this channel, I'm sure you'll see that I still do. She also instilled in me and my sister a love of reading, from having us read to her at a young age, to reading our own books when we got older. Reading was always a part of our family's lifestyle. In either the 3rd or 4th grade, I was diagnosed with dyslexia, seeing and writing things backwards. And as such, I was told I would probably never read or write above a 5th grade level. By the time I made it to high school, I was reading books well outside that. However, I was still in the remedial courses until a very special teacher realized that I could read at a full grade level. In fact, I was reading college books by the time he found me. The reason I hadn't given up on writing, though, was a chance encounter at a mall and my grandparents and my mother helping me out. So, let's talk about 1992 for a second. I was in 7th grade, had all but given up on reading, when I saw a G.I. Joe comic at the newsstand, and my grandmother gave me the $1.25 it cost to buy it. Every couple of weeks we would walk by that newsstand and I would happen to find that yet a new issue that I absolutely wanted to read. It had ninjas, and it was G.I. Joe, and it was totally cool, and every time my grandmother would give me that extra $1.25 to buy it. I wasn't really collecting comics yet. I didn't even know why I was reading them. They were just cool things to do on the side. However, then that Christmas, my mother bought me the super special issue, the one that really started me collecting, the one that got me to walk into a comic book shop for the first time, and the one that made me fall in love with reading all over again. Superman 75, The Death of Superman. By the time I had started freshman year of high school, I was full-on comic book collecting all the time, and when those reading assignments came in, even though they were in remedial classes, I read them and loved them. The Silver Kiss was my first vampire book, The Contender, The Chocolate Wars, Killing Mr. Griffin. There were 100 of them. And then I found Tolkien. Around this time was also about the time that my love of reading turned into a love of writing as well. I liked writing stories, I liked playing make-believe, just in general I liked all of those things. And my mom once again stepped in, buying me a computer program that let me make my own comic books. I still have a handful of those short stories that maybe I will do something with someday. However, that was also about the time I made my current group of friends. That's right, in high school is where I met my friends that I have today. And I did so through a game called Rift, specifically a role-playing game. And for years, that's how I channeled my creativity. Dungeons & Dragons, Vampire the Masquerade, you name it, we played it. And around this time is also the time that I was introduced to a new type of story, through the series called Necroscope. Over the years, I played with the idea of being a writer off and on, but never really did anything serious about it. And over the years, I channeled my creativity into all sorts of things, and my love of reading as well. So as my life went on, I stupidly dropped out of college and thought that I was going to get a career, and I was doing pretty good for a couple of years, until I turned down a job offer so that I wouldn't leave the state, and boom, the economy collapsed, all within the span of about 9 months of each other. With that, I found myself kind of bouncing back and forth and being kind of aimless, not sure what I was going to do. I've worked in call centers, I've worked in grocery stores, I've worked just about every type of job you can imagine. And then one day I said, you know what, I'm going to finally sit down and write that book I've always wanted to write. And I did. And I think it came out pretty good. But then I got smacked right down in the face with that reality that every writer does, that selling the book is harder than writing the book sometimes. At this time I also started doing NaNoWriMo. So far I'm 1 for 2. And for those of you that don't know, that's a thing that writers do when they have nothing better to do with their Novembers. They try to push out as many words as they possibly can into a story and see what sticks. Somewhere about this time when I was starting writing is when I found YouTube, really. I originally found it with people having crazy conspiracy theories and people debunking those. However, I quickly turned it into watching things about people talking about book series I liked or TV shows I liked. MatPat's game theory really was the one that pushed me over the edge and made me actually create my first account here on YouTube, specifically because he had one episode that I couldn't watch without being verified that I was 18 years or older, which is kind of funny and pathetic at the same time. After him and some political stuff, Emergency Awesome, Charlie was really the first one that I was watching regularly. I think MatPat and Charlie were the first two people that I actually subscribed to at all. I could go on for hours talking about different YouTubers that I found and liked. However, as the rejection letters kept pouring in, one of the things that was suggested to me was, I don't have an audience of my own. Social media, which I was at that point very little in, only touching a little bit of Twitter, was a great way to get started. And as such, I came up with the idea of, well, if these people were able to do it, why not me? I just had a couple of problems. One, I'm not good at video games. Two, I'm not really smart enough to debunk people that have crazy conspiracy theories. And three, I didn't know what to say. However, at the same time, while I was trying to get my writing in order, I decided what I really needed to do was take apart stories, get down to the nitty-gritty of them, and figure out what would make mine stand out as unique. And I said, hey, I bet a lot of people would be interested in that. And then I needed a name. And see, in the real world, your heart pumps your blood. That blood is what keeps you alive. Your heart is the most important organ. It's keeping everything going. And metaphysically, the heart is where love starts, where your emotions all come from. So both metaphysically and physically, your heart is probably the most important part. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start my own YouTube channel, and I'm going to explore the heart of the stories we tell. And if people watch, people watch. And if no one does, well, at the very least, I put some stuff out there and saw what was happening. So I downloaded this free program, and I started making videos. And then I opened up a Patreon, and I opened up a Twitter account just for it, and I opened up a Facebook, and then I went to Nikon, and at Nikon I met a bunch of other writers and talked to them, and tried to feel them out, and then I tried to figure out what I was doing with YouTube, and well, that brings us to here, and the state of the channel today. Now that I said where I came from, let's talk about where I'm going. And where I'm going is into the month of October, which is the month of Halloween, and the month of horror stories, and the month of scares. And as such, I'm going to try to boost my channel up by talking about the thing that is very topical, specifically Halloween stories, horror stories, and scary stories. And then come November, we're going to start another theme, and as we go, we're going to try to build on each one. However, at the same time, I'm going to start reviewing TV shows, specifically the ones that I watch, mostly superheroes, but we'll see as we go. And I'm going to build this based on your feedback, so like episodes that you like, downvote ones that you don't, and most important, subscribe to see all of it as we get going, because that's what we need to do. We need to build a subscription base, we need to build a community, and comment. The more comments I have, the more I can respond to, and as I respond, we can talk and find exactly what it is that we're all looking for in the heart of the stories we tell. So thank you for joining me on this journey, and that I hope that we can embark on together. I hope you have a nice night, and for now, see you next week.